Just looking for my glasses.
If I can ask you all to mute yourselves, please, because we're going to make a start now. And that's going to be especially important later when you're all snoring. We're going to start tonight laying down. Let's start how we mean to go on. So really take the opportunity, get yourself snugly now. If you want to cover yourself with a blanket, do. If you want to lay with your head on a pillow, do. I want you to be really, really comfortable for the first few minutes of the practice while we settle in and have an idea of giving our body and mind the signals that things are starting to slow down and that we are preparing for bed. So getting yourselves nice and comfortable. I'm going to remain seated upright, otherwise you risk losing my voice, so I will stay sitting up. So just settling yourself down, really making sure that you are as comfortable as you possibly can be. And take a few rounds of breath here to have a good old fidget and to let your spine settle into the surface beneath you. Maybe you want the soles of your feet on the mat and your knees bent. Maybe you want your legs outstretched. It's entirely your choice. You lay how you want to lay tonight for maximum comfort. If you can, try and get into the habit of laying with your palms upturned. That just allows a little bit of external rotation in your shoulders. If you've had a stressful day at all today, if you've been dashing about, we carry a lot of tension in our shoulders. And by upturning the palms, it just allows the shoulder blades to sink a little more heavily into your mat. So that's the reason why we suggest that. But if that really isn't comfortable for you, then you take your choice of comfort. Let's just take a moment here, maybe to tuck the chin just a tad, just to bring a little bit of extra length into the cervical spine, really stretching the full length of the spine onto the mat. Maybe just tilting the pelvis forward and back a couple of times just to see if you can flatten the sacrum into the mat a bit more, finding length in the spine, of course. And then let's just check in with your forehead. Try and unruffle your brow if it's ruffled. Let your eyelids softly close or lower your gaze, whatever feels most comfortable. Let your teeth gently part, let your jaw be soft. No tension in the jaw here. And just thinking about your shoulders, releasing into the mat, gravity. And thinking about the thoracic spine or the back of the rib cage, so all of the ribs, imagine them at the back of your body flattening onto the mat. And then your lower back, the back of your hips, the sacrum, the buttocks, the backs of the thighs, the backs of the knees, the calves, the heels, and the feet, letting the ankles softly roll outwards. No tension in the feet, that's if you've got your legs stretched out, of course. And then thinking about your 10 toes, tops of the feet, the ankles, the shins, the knees, the thighs, the hip bones, the softness of the belly. Really let it be relaxed here. Make sure you're not carrying any tension in your abs this evening. No need, I tell you, no need. And then bringing your awareness to your heart center. Maybe you're aware of your heartbeat, maybe not. And now just bringing your awareness to your breath. Notice how the breath is flowing in the body. Noticing whether it's a fast breath or whether it's quite slow or whether it's slowing. And try and think of a descriptive word, an adjective that describes your breath right now. Perhaps it would be wide or shallow, fast, slow, expansive. Just something about your breath, noticing how it's moving through your body. Now let's bring the awareness completely to the belly and the breath moving the belly, or the breath moving the diaphragm. Seeing if you can hang on to that exhale just for a fraction of a moment longer than your inhale. So we're really slowing everything down now. This is what's giving our body the signals that all is well and that we're entering a restful state. And now shifting the awareness to the ribs in the side body. Being aware of the rib cage inflating as the muscles between the ribs gently move. They expand and contract with every breath. And perhaps you can visualize the side body being moved by the ribs inflating and deflating. And then shifting the awareness once again, bringing your visualization to your collarbones, and see if you can just imagine or visualize the lungs sitting beneath the rib cage, and thinking about the very tops of the lungs that are just beneath the collarbones. Maybe if you're not aware of the very tops of the lungs inflating with air, perhaps visualize with every breath that the belly region moves, and then the side body moves, and then this region, this clavicular region beneath the clavicles or the collarbones, and try and piece together the three-part breath, so the belly, the side body, and then the very tops of the lungs. See if you can hold that visualization for the next few rounds of breath. And then slowly release any control of the breath, any visualizations. Let your breath find its own rhythm and its own natural cadence. And just observe for a moment, be the observer of your breath. Seeing if you can be aware of any change in the breath since we started the practice. And now very slowly, if you've got your feet on the mat, the soles of the feet on the mat, maybe stretch your legs away long so that we're in a full outstretched position here. And with the next inhale, I just want you to reach your arms up and overhead. So we're in a full body stretch here, not too passive, not too active, but just feeling into this stretch, maybe pointing away with the toes, stretching away with the fingers, really noticing how you feel today. If there's any tension that you're aware of, have a little play with your shoulder blades here, create space, squeeze them together so arms are still overhead. And then the same with the legs, stretch away with one leg and then the other. Just notice how it feels in the sacrum and the hips. Take a nice big inhale here. And as you sigh it out, let's bring the arms back overhead. So they're down by the sides of the body. Slowly, let's bring the right knee in towards the chest, maybe grabbing around the shin here, and just breathing that knee a little close to the chest while stretching away long with the left leg. So really point away with the left toes here. Point into the right toes too. See if you can flatten your shoulders onto the mat. And then slowly release the tension in the toes, release the right knee and let it slide back down long. Now let's bring the left knee in towards the chest. Just hug it in here, taking hold of the shin, noticing how this feels compared to the other side. And stretching away with the right toes now, really point the right toes away, point into the left toes as well. Try and flatten the shoulders. So we're still holding on to the shin or the ankle here, and try and just squeeze those shoulder blades down so they flatten onto the mat. And then let's just release and slide that left leg down now. Just taking a moment here to stretch away with the right heel and then the left heel. So we're kind of doing this laying down, walking, so we're waggling our hips from side to side. And then bending into the right knee, bring the foot up to the mat. And then as you draw the knee in towards the chest, we're just going to take a few hip circles here. So holding the knee if you want, or if you can go without holding the knee, if you can take that movement without discomfort, then do so. Just exploring what movement you've got. If it's not much, work with not much. If you can make it a little more expansive, then do, and then change the direction. So we're just noticing how this hip feels tonight. We're going to be doing some work on the legs and hips. We're going to be working everything tonight, but we want to make sure we're just oiling up the joints that we're gently going to be working, and then come to stillness and placing the sole of the right foot onto the mat, fairly close to the inside of the left thigh. Just slowly let that knee draw open and let it come to the side. So we're in a supine version of tree. If this is not working for your hips, if your knee is way up in the air, just use your bolster or your block to prop it wherever it gets to, as long as we get some sort of external rotation where the knee is moving away from the midline, you know, however little or however far is good enough. So work with what you've got. If your knee is pretty much in the air, don't worry about it. Let's just see how that feels when we take a few breaths in this pose. So perhaps taking both hands to the points of your hips here, your hip bones, just noticing how they feel. It might feel that the right hip has dropped right down, and the left one you might feel as though you're slightly rolling out of the left hip. Just noticing how that feels. And with the left leg, let's flex into that left foot so the toes are pointing straight up towards the ceiling, because there is a tendency, if we're just laying here passively, that left leg will externally rotate, and we don't want that. We want almost an internal rotation here. So the right hip is in external rotation, the left hip isn't. So just taking a moment here, connecting with your breath. And then very slowly, let's come back up onto the sole of that right foot. Hug that knee in just for a moment, and then stretch that right leg away long. Now let's draw the left knee in and start to draw some circles with that knee on the left side. So immediately comparing how this side feels to the other side. Maybe this is your good hip or your bad hip or your tight hip. And let's reverse the direction, seeing if it feels any different going in one direction than the other. Again, just working with what you've got. Starting to oil that joint up. And then bringing the knee in towards the chest, and let's take the sole of the foot down to the mat, just inside the right thigh here. And gently let that knee not fall, but you know what I mean. We're going to take the left knee down, see if it goes any closer to the ground than on the right side. Again, If you need to prop or it's more comfortable to have something underneath that knee, then go for it. We're just exploring mobility and stretching of the joints or the muscles around the joints in a passive state. So we want to be really comfortable while we do that. We don't want to hold any unnecessary tension. So it's all about finding comfort. Connecting with your breath here, noticing how your shoulders are feeling, whether or not you're balling your fists. These are all signs that perhaps you're carrying a little more tension than you need. And check in with the jaw. See if you can release any tension. And then very gently from here, bringing the sole of that foot back up to the mat and hugging the knee in one more time. Just seeing how that feels. And take the foot back down to the mat and bring the right foot to join it. And this time we're going to let the soles of the feet come together on both feet as we let both knees go down. So we've explored tree on both sides now. And now we're doing my favourite, cobbler's pose, otherwise known as Baddha Konasana, which is just such a joyful word to write. If you want to feel more comfortable and want to prop your cobbler's pose, then either put your bolster completely underneath your knees, or if you've got one knee higher than the other, then prop it, but make sure that you're comfortable. We're going to hold this pose for a little bit longer. My block's not doing any good at all, so I should move that out of the way. Just noticing how you feel with your hips open here. It's a really good releaser of emotional tension in the hips. So maybe if you're struggling to find complete comfort, perhaps just slide your feet away from your body a little, make your diamond shape a little bit longer, and you might find that's a bit more comfortable. Or you might find the opposite is true. It might be more comfortable if you bring your feet closer to your body. Have a play with it. There's no right or wrong. It's just whether it's right or wrong for you, really. So just a couple more rounds of breath here. And then very slowly and mindfully, using your hands, let's ease those knees back up toward each other. Till both knees are bent, both soles of the feet are on the mat. And just take a moment here, let's just windscreen wiper the legs from side to side, just really squashing down into the lower back, giving it a bit of a massage here, noticing how it feels. If you've had a tough day, you might have a little bit of lower backache if you've been sitting all day or bending over something. And then coming to stillness, let's take our right foot now, take the right ankle and cross it over the left thigh. Gently just encouraging that knee away. So we're still working into the hip joint on the right side here. And when you're set up there, let's reach behind the left thigh and draw it in towards us. So we're doing a supine version of pigeon here. So we're getting a good old stretch. We're externally rotating the right hip and we're also stretching into the right glute. So just noticing how that feels. Let's extend the left leg away. So really drive away with the heel, straight up towards the ceiling, and then using a little gentle pressure behind the left thigh, ease it in towards the body. So we're getting a good stretch in the left hamstring here as well. I think a few of you have mentioned tight hamstrings today. So Lissy, this one's for you in particular. Anyone who's been running today or cycling or rowing, hopefully this will be a bit of relief. And then very slowly, let's bend into the left knee and lower the left foot to the mat. Uncross the right leg. Let's do that little windscreen wiper movement again. Just take the legs left and right, left and right. Now let's bring the left ankle to cross over the right leg. And very gently easing that left hip open a little more. And then reaching through the gap behind the right thigh as we lift the right foot off the mat and come into our supine pigeon. So immediately we can feel a stretching into the left glute now. Really encourage that right thigh in towards the body. And then let's lead away with that right heel all the way up to the ceiling. Straighten the leg and get a nice hamstring stretch in the right leg here. So just taking a moment, connecting with your breath. And slowly bringing that foot back down to the mat. Left foot comes to join it. And let's take that windscreen wiper movement once more. Right, you're going to need your strap now. So if it's handy, you can grab it. And I'm going to take my socks off for this because they are very thick socks. We want the strap to be round, well, it depends. If you've got any tightness in your Achilles tendon here, you might want to put the strap around the arch of your foot. If your Achilles are okay, you put the strap around the balls of your toes instead. So just hook it around the right leg and straighten the leg up, taking a strap in either hand, and elbows come down to the mat here. So the elbows are firmly anchored on the mat, and then just applying a little bit of tension on the strap, we're going to ease that leg a little bit closer to the body. So we're trying to decrease the angle at the hip between the thigh and the body. So you'll feel the stretch on the hamstring and then flex into that right foot. So you really feel a good old stretch. So not doing it 100%. We don't want to work quite at 100% tonight. We want to be looking at about 75 or 80% of what you're capable of here. So we're having a thorough yet reasonably gentle stretch here. And now from here, taking both straps into the right hand, elbow stays on the mat. We're going to slowly let the right leg go out towards the right hand side. Now, if this is not going to work for you with your hips, what I suggest you do is keep your leg, for those of you that can take the outward motion, do it slowly and then hold it there. For those of you for whom it's difficult, Colette, I'm thinking of you in particular, just stay with your foot in the flex position and let's just work on strengthening and lengthening that hamstring there. That will be just as thorough for you. But otherwise, if you can go out to the side, let's do that. And then releasing the tension on the strap, really flex into the foot as you draw the leg back towards the midline. Now holding that leg where it is, straight up, we're going to straighten the left leg. This changes things. Let's take both straps into the left hand now. Left elbow comes to the mat, flex into the foot, and now we're going to gently roll towards the left. Normally we don't come very far with this stretch. We have the knee bent here and we just make it a tiny stretch into the IT band. This time we're actually going to use the leverage we've got by straightening the left leg here and just come over towards the left hand side. You'll feel how good that stretch feels there. And then releasing the tension on the strap, really drive into that heel and let's bring it back to center. Ooh, hopefully you felt that. Let's bring the left leg up to join the right. One strap in each hand. Flex into both feet, so really drive away with the heels and gently draw that strap towards the body. So hopefully, if you let go of the strap now, it'll feel like you've definitely got one leg longer than the other. The right leg should feel as though it's had a bit more work, which of course it has. So taking the right foot out of the strap now, keeping the knee bent for a moment, taking both straps into the left hand, we're going to let the left leg come out towards the left. So really flexing into the ankle there, let it drop, let it go to where it's going. Doesn't have to go all the way down. We're just trying to get it as far as we can go, where we can bring it back without the tension on the strap. So flexing into the foot, slowly, slowly, slowly. Let those adductors on the inner thighs do all the work. Well done. Now let's take the strap into the right hand. Elbow comes to the mat, stretch that right leg away long. And this time we're going to roll with it as we go all the way over. Oh, you'll know when you've gone far enough. So just feeling into that stretch. Don't go so far that you're holding your breath. Just ease back a bit to where you can feel it, but you can still breathe. And then slowly coming back up to center. And release the strap and gently bring that leg back down. Ooh. Just take both feet as wide as the mat here and let's windscreen wiper left and right. And next time you come over to your left hand side, I want you to stay there. So just in this, left hip is externally rotated, right hip is internally rotated, unless of course that is not a good move for you, in which case stay symmetrical and central and just take much smaller movements. And then slowly let's bring the knees up to center and take them over towards the right. Connecting with your breath, noticing if any tension has crept in where you can let it go. And slowly legs come back up to center. And we're very slowly and mindfully going to bring ourselves up to seated now. So no rush whatsoever. You might want to use your block or your pillow or your cushion or whatever you've got that will feel nice and comfortable for you to do some of these seated postures in. All about comfort and ease tonight. So I'm propping myself on my little meditation cushion here. You don't have to have your legs crossed. This just happens to be the most comfortable position for me. If you've got your bolster, you might actually want to sit on it like so. That can be quite comfortable. Your choice entirely. You find your comfortable seat. Try and make it so that you are reasonably symmetrical rather than kind of lounging about all over the place. So finding your comfortable seat and bringing your awareness and attention to your spine now. So lots of space from the tail all the way up to the crown. Imagine each and every vertebra and the space between. Let's tuck the chin here very slightly. And then taking the right hand up above the head, reaching all the way over to the left ear here. And then just gently draw the right ear over the right shoulder and really let your left shoulder be heavy here. In fact, I would just say go as far as to take your left fingertips down to the mat and try and push the mat away. So we're getting lots of space between ear and shoulder here, really reaching away. Notice if you're holding your breath. And then slowly, slowly releasing that ear and letting the head come back to center. Now let's reach up with the left arm. Really lift and lengthen through the spine here. Reach up and over the head to grab the right ear. And then slowly let's take the left ear over the left shoulder. And let's come really heavy in the right shoulder as we take the fingertips to the mat and actively try and push away. And just work into what's going on in the neck and the trapezius muscle here, which is where we gather all this tension. And slowly let that ear go and come back to center. And now from here, just taking your hands to your knees, we're going to start to circle our torsos. But what I don't want you to do is roll from hip to hip. So staying heavy in the hips, we're trying to isolate the upper body. You might feel a bit stiff. You can use your shoulders here if you want to get a bit funky with it. bring a bit more movement, but keep those hips nice and heavy. We're trying to just free off the rib cage. Those of you who did the weekend practice, we were working on the thoracic spine. It's all of that again. Let's go back the other way. Noticing any creaking and grinding and crunching. And then coming to stillness here. And let's start to take some shoulder rolls. So really bring your shoulders up towards your ears. Exaggerate the moves here. And then back the other way. And then coming to stillness. And bringing your hands to your knees here. I want you to almost collapse in on yourself. So bringing your chin to your chest and really caving in here. So we've got a concave shape where there's lots of space between our shoulders here. Chin is on the chest. We can feel the pull across the shoulder blades. And then very gently, let's start to draw ourselves forward. So chin comes up as we pull ourselves open and through to open through the front body here. So we're doing a seated version of cat-cow. Let's go back again one more time. So collapsing in, rounding through the shoulders here. And then drawing up, lift and lengthen as we pull ourselves through. Imagine that you're sticking your bum out here and then back to neutral. Now bringing both your hands and clasping them behind your back, straighten your arms here. So what we're doing, we're squeezing our shoulders together here quite tightly, and then raise your arms. I'll just turn slightly for a moment so you can see what I'm doing. So we're here, we've got straight arms and we've squeezed the shoulders together. We've drawn them down so we're not wearing them around our ears, and just notice how that feels. So we're creating tension quite deliberately in our shoulders here. And then start to lower the hands back towards the bum here and release. This time, bring the hands out in front, clasp the hands again, but we're going to turn them the other way. If you find that difficult, if you can't do that because of wrist issues or what have you, maybe just grabbing the wrists, anything that allows your arms to be the other way, or just maybe even turning your fingertips in towards each other. And now as we push away and slightly lift, we're going to round into that shape again. So we're really doming through the shoulders, creating lots of space. Arms are lifted, so make sure they're not dropping down into your lap. And then slowly as we draw them down, we lift and lengthen once more. So now I'll turn back to face you. So sitting as we were, sitting nice and tall, taking left hand by left hip, and reach up with the right arm. And we're slowly going to take a very thorough stretch over towards the left, but being very mindful that both hips and sitting bones are firmly grounded here. So we're not lifting out, we are very heavily weighted, and we're creating lots of space between ribs and hip here. So you should feel a really good expansive stretch. Really reach away actively with your fingertips. So we're not kind of passively dangling here, we're stretching away, really getting that stretch in. And then let's just take a little look up at the ceiling from here. So we're getting a slight rotation there as well. And then slowly back to center and bring the arm down. Let's recalibrate here. So lift and lengthen. Right hand comes beside the right hip. And let's reach up and away with left fingertips. And slowly let's take it over towards the right. So again, nice and active in the fingers, really reaching away here. And then let's just turn to look up at the ceiling. So very heavy in both hips. A little bit of rotation going in, lots of space between the bottom of the left side of the ribs and the left hip. And then slowly back to center. Now reaching your left hand out in front and grabbing the underneath of the left hand with your right. Let's just draw it across the body. So we're stretching into the deltoids here. So you'll feel quite a strong stretch across here. So making sure we haven't turned round with it. We want to be facing square, but we're just trying to take that shoulder round that way. So upper body and lower body, we're facing front. It's just that arm we're trying to pull around the corner. And release. And this time we're going to reach forward with our right hand, take the underneath of the wrist as we draw it across the body. So again, we're still facing forward. Hopefully you can feel that lovely stretch there. If it feels anything other than lovely, you perhaps, have been carrying a lot of tension there and could do with a little more work in that area. So just noticing if that's the case. And then let go. Now bringing both hands to opposite shoulders here, giving yourself a little hug. Really lift and lengthen here. And let's take a twist just with the upper body. So it's just the rib cage that's moving round towards the right. You probably won't get very far, but hopefully you can feel a lengthening in the left side and a bit of compression in the right. And slowly back to center. Let's see how we go to the left. Maybe you're feeling a bit more restricted this side. If it depends which arm is on top. And then back to center. And let's cross the arms over. Oh, that feels wrong. So let's go around again to the right, noticing it's usually easier to turn towards the side where the limb is on top. So all of a sudden this has become a lot more difficult. Going to my right arm is underneath. And now let's come back to center, lift and lengthen, and then let's go around to the left. And that seems a little easier. And back to center and release. So last time on the rib cage here, cactus arms or goalpost arms or whatever you want to call them. Same sort of thing. We're going to sit really tall, lengthen through the spine and trying to isolate the rib cage. We're just taking a turn towards the right. You possibly won't get very far. Trying to take that right elbow further behind. And then back to center. And let's go around to the left. So we're trying to take the left elbow further back now. Lots of work into the shoulders, continuing what we started at the weekend. And back to the front. Ooh. Right, grab your strap again. We're not doing the Old Faithful, we're doing a different one today. So today I want you to put the strap over your left shoulder and bring it across to your right hip. Left hand reaches behind to grab hold of the strap. Right hand grabs the strap by the hip. We're going to pull in opposite directions. So right hand is pulling down towards the right hip. Left hand is pulling down towards the left hip. And then we're going to take the head in the same direction as the hand on the hip. So hopefully you can feel a really strong stretch in the trapezius muscle, which is where the strap is draped over at the moment. So just noticing how that feels. So we're pulling in two opposite directions here and then release and relax. And let's take that to the opposite side. So we're now, left hand is in front, hand is by the hip. I call this the seatbelt move. This is the easiest way for me to write it down without going into lengthy detail, but I think you get the idea. Right hand reaches behind, just grab the strap in your lower back. And as we start pulling in two opposite directions, we're then going to take the head the other way. So the head is now coming over towards the same side as the hand that's in front of the body, feeling the stretch in the trapezius on the right hand side. And then slowly releasing the tension back to center. Let's put the strap to one side. In fact, I think we might have done with that for tonight, unless I suddenly think of something brilliant that we've got to do. So let's just take our fingertips to our collarbones now and have a little ease off here. So nice big slow circles. And then back the other way. And release. And let's just circle through the wrists here in one direction and then the other. And then clasping the hands here. Let's keeping the palms of the hands together. Let's just start doing this funky little, I don't know what it is, shake, rattle and roll. And now bring your fingertips up. Notice which finger is at the back. I want you to swap the hands around so the other finger's at the back. Ah, it's all wrong. And then we're going to do it again. See if you can. I feel really cat-handed this way around, but that's just me knowing that changes afoot. So just really freeing off the wrists there. And then coming to stillness, waggling out all the fingers. And then removing yourself off your block, but having it handy. We're going to come to all fours. I'm going to do a couple of rounds of cat-cow. Oh, not more cat-cow. Why do we always do cat-cow? Because it's so efficient at doing what we need it to do. So wrists come beneath the shoulders, knees beneath the hips. In fact, let's turn the fingers inwards so they face each other. Really press the way out of the mat here and take your body weight forward just a little bit so you can feel a stretch there. You'll know exactly where I mean when you get to it. And then let's bring the body weight back. Just far enough till you feel a stretch. You know where I mean. And then come back to center. And now let's turn the fingers, dial them all the way outwards until they're facing the body. Turn them all the way outwards till they're facing the body. So your fingertips are pointing towards your knees now. Same thing. So we're just going to press away from the mat and just draw your body weight back. You won't be able to go very far. So what we're doing here is stretching the medial nerve in the wrist. So if you've been using a mouse all day long, this is great for that. And then bring your body weight forward. So we're just creating a bit of flexibility and strength in the wrists. Just taking a moment here. And then turn the hands back to where they want to be. Place them underneath your shoulders. Spread your fingers wide. Middle finger tracks towards the top edge of your mat. And let's tuck the chin in and push the mat away and create lots of space between the shoulders here. Push, 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 push. And then chin starts to come forward as we drop the belly down. Hips go back. And squeeze those shoulders. See how it feels. See how much movement you've got in your shoulders. What can you do with your shoulders while you're here? Have a little play with it. And then one more time, bringing the chin in towards the chest, pushing away, pushing away. And again, seeing what movement you've got in your shoulders here, how it changes things. And last time, chin comes forward, drop the belly. And really enjoy this stretch in the front body here. And then back to neutral and finding your block or your bolster if that's more handy. We're going to take puppy pose here where we place our elbows on the block here. Our knees and hips are still at right angles. We just bring the hands in prayer behind our head. Now, if you can, rest your elbows so they're on the edge of the block and your head can come down to the mat. That will give you a more effective stretch. So we're stretching into the triceps here. It's as though you're trying to push the elbows away. Make sure you're still breathing here. Really connecting with the breath. And then slowly bringing the hands down. And bringing your hands off the block here and bringing your big toes to meet, spreading your knees as wide as your mat. And let's take wide leg child's pose here. So really reaching away long, maybe resting your head on your block or whatever's to hand, up to you. Let's make it a nice, comfortable child's pose. So arms are quite passive, although they're stretched away and the shoulders are getting a good stretch. once more, it's quite passive in that our fingertips aren't active, our forearms are flat on the mat, and we're just trying to yield in this position with hips nice and open. And then slowly walking the hands in towards the body and moving the block to one side. We're going to need our bolsters now. So we want our bolsters to be the same shape as the mat. So we want them lengthwise on. And what we're going to do here, we're going to be laying on the bolster with our right leg outstretched, top of the foot resting on the mat, and then left leg we are hitching up, and our left shin is parallel to the edge of the mat. So this is called half frog. I don't know if you can see my leg there. I might have to move over a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Many of us, I suspect, sleep like this. So right leg is stretched away, left leg is up. You've got your chin on your bolster, your body weight is totally supported, and just make yourself comfortable here. Obviously, if your hips are not comfortable in external rotation, do crocodile instead. Let your feet turn in towards each other and have your hips internally rotated, or just square, entirely up to you. But if you can tolerate this external rotation, then this is how we want that leg to be, with the left shin parallel with the long edge of the mat, and just connecting with the breath here. So noticing how you're feeling, which direction your outstretched leg is rolling, if it's rolled in or if it's rolled out. It doesn't matter, it can be completely passive here. But just being supported here with your left hip in that external rotation. And then slowly and carefully, let's slide that leg down straight. And let's bring the other side up and see how it feels on the other side. So we're hitching the right leg up, shin is parallel to the edge of the mat. And we're just noticing how we feel, noticing if we've rolled into the left hip here. Noticing if this is more or less comfortable and adapting accordingly. So it's not about the exact shape, it's more about getting that rotation in your leg. It's a bit like, everybody does tree a little bit differently. We've done tree laying on our backs. Now we're kind of doing it almost laying on our fronts. We're in a slightly different shape, but similar principles. So don't get hung up on the shape too much. And then slowly stretch that leg away long. And everybody just turn your toes in to face each other, so you've got internally rotated hips at the moment. Have a little waggle there from side to side. And from here, I just want you to raise yourself up on your hands, and we're going to shift the bolster around so it's now widthways on our mat. And from here, we're going to come straight into supported cobra. So hands come the other side of the bolster, and then knees are a little way apart. And I want you to just bend into your elbows and lower your belly onto the bolster. So not your hips, not your ribs. We want the bit in between. We want the nice fleshy bit. So elbows will probably be up on the bolster as well. And from here, I want you to squeeze your shoulder blades in together, but I want you to be able to get your hands off the mat. So we're in a supported cobra here. Feet are parallel. We're looking directly down at the mat, so we've got a lovely long spine. We're just going to hold this here for about 3 breaths, and then we're going to slide the arms forward so that our thumbs have only got, 2 inches in between them, 10 centimeters, something like that. And we're now in Sphinx pose. So our forearms are now supporting us. We're looking directly down, just beneath our thumbs, and using a little bit of pressure on the forearms, let's push ourselves into a nice version of Sphinx here. So this is a lovely supported back bend. If it doesn't feel lovely, please lower yourselves down. It's, you know, it's not such a big deal that we do it. But if you can have quite a dignified Sphinx here, this is such a nice posture to do after a busy day, seated. It's a nice counter posture. And then very slowly, let's just ease ourselves all the way back to our knees. And let's take both feet over towards the left and swing that bolster around so that it's up against our right hip. Excuse me. So knees are tracking towards the right. We've got the bolster next to the hip. And what we're going to do, we're going to turn to face the bolster, and then we're going to spread ourselves down over it. So this is deer pose. We're hugging the bolster here. Just connecting with your breath. Really see if you can ease into your shoulders, noticing if any tension's crept into your feet, or if you're squashing your feet, if you need to adjust anything. And I'm assuming that everybody is laying on the right side of their face. See if you can very gently and carefully turn onto the left side of your face. If this is not comfortable for you, then don't do it. Otherwise, we're just going to take a few breaths here. And then slowly, head and neck come back to center. Hands come either side of the bolster, and let's gently lift ourselves up and move the bolster to the other side of the body. So swinging the legs round in the opposite direction. So bolster comes next to our left hip here. And then turning to look at the bolster and spreading ourselves down and making ourselves really comfy here. So just noticing how your neck feels on this side. Noticing how your shoulders are, if you're gripping with your hands. Really let any tension in your feet go. Let your shoulders be heavy. And then lift and gently turn your head the other way. So we're laying on the right hand side of the face. Connect with the breath. Find your breath here. Then slowly bring your head and neck back to center, walking your hands back up until you are seated again. Right, this time we're going to leave the bolster pretty much where it is in the center of the mat. And this time we're going to do fish pose. Fish is where we have most of our spine supported on the bolster, but our heads come back. They can go on to something else, but we need that gap so that we can get our necks into extension here, which we don't often do. So just taking a moment to set yourself up, put your bum on the edge of your bolster or your two pillows, and then just slowly lay down and let your head drop off the back. It can be onto something else, but what we want is for our shoulders both to be off the bolster so that they are externally rotated. The palms are upturned. You can keep your knees bent to support you. You can be in constructive rest where your knees knock in towards each other, or you can have your feet together wherever you're comfortable. But the important thing is that we're going to take a little squeeze of the shoulder blades here, trying to get them to squeeze in together, squeezing the surface underneath. And then we're just going to release and relax. So we've got the opening of the front body here. The shoulders are really nice and open. And we've got this nice extension going on in our necks here. And just connect with your breath. So we're in a version of fish pose here. Supported fish pose. Very, very calming. So we're stretching out through the throat. We're in a slight inversion because our hearts are a little bit higher than our heads, very slightly. And then slowly and mindfully just rolling one side or the other, easing yourself up and off your bolster. And we're going to turn the bolsters round so they're sideways again. And this time we're going to do supported bridge pose. So you want your bolster not under your buttocks, but under the sacrum, the flat bony bit. It's a bit difficult to, you know, at the base of your spine, you've got the flat back of the hips. That's where we want to be supported. So it's just getting into a position where you feel that you're not right into your lower back, but that you're not entirely on your buttocks either. And just take a moment to squeeze the shoulders together and then let them just melt into the mat. Feet are about hip width apart. Let's take a little roll forward and back of the pelvis here, noticing how the sacrum flattens on the bolster. Feeling the opening of the shoulders once more. And just taking a moment here to connect with your breath while we enjoy this supported version of bridge pose. If you would prefer to do Baddha Konasana here, you can experiment. You can just bring the soles of your feet together and see how it feels to be supported with the bolster under your sacrum rather than your knees. If you prefer it the other way around, you might want to swap. So it's your best version of this supported small back bend and inversion. So either bridge or Baddha Konasana or cobbler's pose, entirely up to you. We're just going to tune into the breath here. Palms are upturned. Shoulder blades are very slightly squeezed towards each other, but flattened on the mat. Chin is slightly tucked, so we've got length in the cervical spine. And then however you're laying now, if you've been in Baddha Konasana, bring your feet back up to being flat on the mat. And just bringing your hands to the side of your bolster here, we're going to take one knee in towards the chest and straighten the leg. And then very carefully and mindfully, we're going to take the other one up as well. This has proved to be quite a few people's favourite pose. It's in Sanskrit, it's a very complicated name, very difficult to spell. It's called legs up. So nice, simple one. I'm not sure it has a Sanskrit name. Probably something we dreamed up here in the West. But anyway, feel fully supported in this. Maybe play about with how your pelvis is being supported here, or your sacrum rather. But shoulder blades should be really flattened and spread into the mat here. And this is a beautifully calming posture. If you can see yourselves on your screen, have a quick look and make sure that your body and your legs are at a right angle rather than something that looks more like that. So it's quite important that the legs are going straight up, Gov. Take a moment admiring your toes, spreading your toes wide, maybe playing with your ankles a bit. Noticing how lovely this posture is. If you can do legs up the wall, it's even better. Very, very restful. So in normal times now, if we were at the rowing club, I'd be handing out the lavender-filled eye bags for you to just rest across your eyes with a lovely gentle smell and darkness and all the rest of it. But as we're all in our own homes, I'm sure we're even more comfortable than in the smelly old rowing club bar. So enjoy wherever you're at. And now very slowly and mindfully, let's bring one leg down, bring the foot to meet the mat, and then the other one. And carefully and mindfully, just lifting the pelvis high enough to draw the bolster out from underneath. We just need to take a moment here, very slowly and mindfully, setting the spine back down on the mat, one vertebrae at a time. When we've been in a supported back bend like that, we need for the spine to find its own natural curves again. So take a few movements, swaying the hips left and right. Maybe bringing one knee in and then taking the leg away long, and then the other one, taking whatever movements feel natural and that your body might want to take. And then let's stretch both legs away long. Let's take a long overhead stretch again. Really point away with the toes and the fingertips. Make yourself as long as you possibly can. And then release and relax and let everything come back. Right, this is the moment lots of you have all been waiting for. We are now going to go into our yoga nidra part of the practice. So I want you to put your pajamas on, do whatever you've got to do, put your socks on, get your oodles of blankets, turn the lights low, do whatever you want and need to do to be as cozy and warm and comfortable as possible. So finding your best posture on your mat, probably be laying down. If you want to lay on your bolster, do so. I wouldn't recommend that you try a brand new version of Shavasana tonight. If it's, choose something where you can be really, really comfortable and supported. Maybe just with your head on a pillow, covered in blankets, with your socks on and all the rest of it. But you've got to be comfy. If you've got something you can put over your eyes, then that might be nice. I'm going to cover myself with my blanket too, so I don't get chilly. I'm going to remain seated, obviously, because I am reading you a story and I need to be able to do that without dropping off myself. So lowering your lights if you need to, or doing whatever you need to do. Just take a few moments to get really, really comfy. Fidget and move about and do whatever you want to do. Checking in that you've released tension everywhere and that you haven't got anything digging into you from behind. That if you've got a ponytail, that it's not sticking into the back of your head. And just tune in with your breath, just like we do at the beginning of every yoga practice. So starting to tune in. Just let your body sink into the floor. Make sure your feet are a little bit wider than your hips and allow both your ankles just to flop out to the sides. Making sure that your palms are a little away from the hips and allowing your armpits to have room to breathe. And just do the final check-in now that you're in a position that you can maintain in complete stillness. Relax your shoulders, relax your arms, relax your hips, your back, your knees, your ankles. Lift your head a couple of times to release any tight spots from the back of your neck. And if you haven't already done so, allow your eyes to softly close and keep them closed for the entire duration of the practice. If you feel any tension or tight spots in any part of your body, take your awareness to that body part and consciously relax and let go. It's best that you try to remain perfectly still during the practice of Yoga Nidra, but if you do become uncomfortable, do feel free to make changes with minimal movement. It's quite natural during Yoga Nidra to flow in and out of conscious hearing during the practice. Whatever experience you have today, this is the experience that you are meant to have. There's no way that you can do this wrong. Know now that you are in a safe environment and a protected space. Try to stay awake by listening to the sound of my voice. And if your mind starts wandering, which is natural, just come back to the sound of my voice. Now say to yourself, I am practicing Yoga Nidra. I am awake and I will remain awake until the end of the practice. And I will come out of the practice when I'm asked to do so. The practice of Yoga Nidra begins now. Become aware of any sounds that you can hear in this moment. Nothing else but what you can hear without straining your ears. Start by focusing on the most distant sounds. Move your attention from sound to sound without labeling the source. Now move your awareness to sounds within your room and the sound of your breath. The sound of your breath flowing freely between your nostrils. Now visualize yourself within this room. Visualize the four walls of your room without opening your eyes. The ceiling, the floor, the walls. Visualize your position in the room, your body lying on the mat, the parts of your body touching the mat, your clothes, your hair, your face, your entire body laying on the mat. Become aware of your natural breath. Become aware of your natural and spontaneous breath that moves in and out of your body without any effort. The natural breath flows in through both nostrils. Notice the feeling of breath as it comes in and out of your nostrils. If you wish, it's now time that you can make a sankalpa or resolution. Repeat your sankalpa 3 times to yourself mentally, clearly and with faith and focus. And a sankalpa is always stated in the present tense. We will now begin the symptomatic journey of awareness throughout the body. You will move your awareness to different parts of the body as soon as you hear them named. We begin with the right side. Right arm, right shoulder, right side of chest, right side of waist, the whole of the right leg. Moving to the left side, left arm, left shoulder, left side of chest, left side of waist, the whole of the left leg. Now to the back of the body, the back of your feet, the back of your legs, lower back, middle back, upper back, back of the shoulders, back of the neck, back of the head. Shifting awareness to the front side of the body, top of the head, the whole face, throat, neck, collarbones, chest, abdomen, navel, pelvic floor, the whole body, the whole body, the whole body. Now become aware of your breath. Feel the flow of your natural breath in and out of your nostrils. The breathing is normal and spontaneous without any effort. Maintaining awareness of your breath, continue to breathe to the belly. With every inhalation, the abdomen is expanding. With every exhale, the navel is drawn in towards the spine. Now, as you breathe in, mentally say the number 9 in your head. And as you breathe out, mentally repeat 9 to yourself. Breathe in, mentally say 8 to yourself. And as you breathe out, repeat 8 to yourself. Continue this way, counting backwards from 9 to 1 with every inhale and exhale. If you lose track of the count midway, then begin from 9 again. Gradually come back to the feeling of your breath flowing in and out of your nostrils. Maintaining your awareness of breath, become aware of your physical body. Your body is relaxed and lying on the floor. Feel the different parts of your body lying on the floor and take your awareness into all of the points that are touching the floor. The backs of your heels, thighs, the back, shoulder blades, arms, hands, and head. Shifting your attention now to sounds within your room. The sound of your breath, sounds around your mat, the sound of my voice. Now move your attention to sounds outside the room, sounds you can hear without strain. Move your awareness back to the room and visualize the room. Imagine where you are in the room and the other objects that are around you. Lie quietly until you feel ready to move. Start by slowly moving your hands and feet. Take your time, there's no hurry. When you are sure that you are fully consciously awake, bend your knees and roll over to the right side. And spend a few rounds of breath here, revisiting your practice, feeling safe, secure, calm and peaceful. When you feel ready and keeping your eyes closed, use your left hand to press yourself up from the floor and slowly sit up into any comfortable posture. Sit in stillness for a couple of moments. Take a deep inhale and exhale, and slowly bring your palms to your heart center. And start to rub your palms together, creating a little warmth. And then gently cup the palms in front of the eyes, feeling the warmth on your face, and slowly open your eyes. Pressing the palms together, draw them down to rest at Anjali Mudra at your heart space. Let's just take a moment here and bow our heads in acknowledgement of this beautiful, peaceful practice tonight, where I hope you found calm and rest and stillness within, and that you had a chance to be amazed once more by your incredible body. I wish you the very best night's sleep. Namaste. Are you all awake? Can you all hear me?
Thank you.
Oh, hooray, bodies.
That was lovely. Thank you. Just what I needed.
Oh, you're very welcome. I hope that was okay. I hope you were warm and comfy and snuggly and were able to relax into that.
Yeah, it was lovely. Thank you.
Good. You're very welcome. Right. No more mobile gadgets tonight. You lot go to bed.
Thanks, Gabby. Night, night.
Good
You're
night.
very welcome.